For me, it was a little bit crazy. Obviously, I had moments where I could, know exactly what I'm doing when I'm doing, and then there are moments when you can like fall off and you're like, hey, I've stopped, working out. I've stopped really writing my poetry as well as I would like. I'm now watching too many series. Like
Mm.
those things happen. Um, but one thing that keeps you going, or that should keep you going, is knowing why you're doing something.
Then, and here he is.
I am here, black as ever. Welcome to the prompt, where your voices are heard and you tell the youth that they can. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share. Today I'm here with
Wallace. Mm-mm. Yeah. So there's a saying that they say that the Catholics have got this saying that they say, "Give me a child under 7, and I will show you the man." So that basically is them saying that if you like, if you give me a child that's 7 years old, I'll be able to instill everything that they will be able to live by for the rest of their lives. So all the morals, all the belief systems are there. So the childhood is a very, very important stage under 7, and I believe that it is the duty of the parents to educate children in all forms. Like I mentioned to you the other day, I said English and mathematics should be something that should not be taught in school. It's I believe it should be taught by parents, because it's at that particular age when the child is learning that they need more attention from their parents than a stranger in a school. So you get, just think about it this way. Think about it this way. You have a child is born, and as soon as the child is able to walk and talk, you get that child and you take it to a different building and you pay some stranger who you don't know. You only know his name. You know this, and you only know just his name, and you pay this man money to take care of your child for from 8 hours to, depending on what school you're at. So you spend all this time, this stranger that you've got no idea what his home looks like, no idea, is basically raising your child. And not only is he raising your child, there's also another bunch of kids who are, who've got different backgrounds, who are also raising your child. So there's all of these things that happen, and we do not see it. But the truth of the matter is, these particular stuff begin to mold a child, to who they'll be in the future. So as parents, as future parents, I advise that we should spend more time with our kids until they're at least 11 years old, 12 years old. We should be like this, to the point where I might not be allowed to say this, but you have to look at somebody who you want to be like, for you to learn something new. Now, if you've got a teacher that you don't even admire or look up to, how are you going to pay attention in class? It's difficult. You want to look at somebody like like a Dangote come and teach you accounts. Like that would be a class you definitely want to go see. You know what I mean? Because you can see that this man, and pay attention, exactly. So what about if you had to be the Dangote in your child's life? You know what I mean? Yeah. So that is my take on the childhood, on just childhood. Yeah, and parenting.
yeah, talking about education, you brought up a very good point yesterday about how, back then there was so much specialization going on and stuff, and then today there's a little bit of everything that doesn't really maximize somebody's full capacity, So
Exactly.
where do you think the pros and cons are exactly?
Uh, I think the pros. Okay, the pros of the whole specialization, like back in the day when you had to, follow somebody that you admire, like a craftsman or whatever. Even your dad, you could follow your dad if you like the way he, fixes cars, for example. But that made more specialized and better quality stuff, obviously. But now, because the demand is high, we've created all these systems. It makes it a little bit more difficult to follow that particular style of education. So the advantage of the way we learn right now is that we have like a vast amount of information at our disposal. Information, that's the keyword, information. It's not that it's knowledge, it's just information. So we've got a vast amount of it, and which is great. But the problem is the way it is given to us. Again, like I mentioned earlier, we do not have a reason why we do things. There's no why. So again, going back to that example, you get your child, you take them into this particular building with this man that you've got no idea. And from nowhere, this man just goes on the board and writes 2 + 2 = 4. And now here's this kid, 7 years old. 2 + 2 is 4. Okay? You have to know that 2 + 2 is 4. Okay? There's no why as to this child needs to know why what 2 + 2 is 4. There's no why we need to know like the why is usually lacking, which makes us as students fail to even have a reason to go to school. So that is what is lacking as well. You've got no reason, like there's no reason that we are really giving the kids other than if you don't go to school, you'll be a pauper and you'll be poor. That is the only reason we give kids to go to school. That's the reason why we go to school. There's nothing else. If you've got no education, you're a failure. Case closed. So if that is the reason why we're going to school, then I think it's a bad reason. I think it's a bad reason. And also it shows, that's one last thing. Also, it also shows that, you know, when it comes to the teachers themselves, the teachers, right now, teaching has become a job where you've got people that, I'm sorry to say, that they might have been failed by, you know, they haven't done so well themselves in school. They're not too good. So now they've got no option. They failed to go to med school. They failed to do whatever. Then the second option would be, let me just do teaching. Teaching becomes like plan B. And they go and do teaching. And this guy who, you know, didn't do so well throughout his school becomes a teacher. And he is the person who's supposed to educate your child. And you expect your child to become sharp. When the person that's teaching did not really do as, you know what I mean? Like teaching should now become a career that is, you know, I think I'm going off topic, but the teaching should now become a career that is also respectable. Like we should take it back to that respectable career. That's what that could be something that is important as well.
Yeah. But I feel like in the past recent, like at least 4 or 5 years, well, like Stanford kids would say, yeah, that's not true. I know A, B, C, D who have made it without education. But then again, to a certain point, they're kind of being biased because those people, if you look, they have self-education. Get what I'm saying? But some people are lazy.
Yes,
so, I just wanted to bring that up. So you talked about, you know, money, right? So you're like, true wealth is about how less you spend and how not more you spend. So could you expand on that?
Yes, I was saying something in the lines of how success is not necessarily the amount of money that you're spending, but how much money you are not spending. So if you're able to have how can I put it to make it simpler? Say, for example, you receive $6,000 or $600 as a salary every month. $600, you receive it, it will be little. You say it's too little. I need to pay this, that. Okay. If that's 6,000, you're able to have a garden that is putting food on your table. You stop buying food. That 6,000 will somewhat, it won't increase, but the amount of free money that you get from that 6,000 will become more. So you have more freedom because now you have secured food that you don't need to buy. So if you're not buying more things basically, but you have a little bit of money that you don't need to buy them, you are now getting, you know, that's the real measure of success. That's just a belief again. So how can I put it even more? If we're able to keep food, water, electricity, if you're able to have those 3 things at least without spending money, then you've reached a certain level where you'll be able to be more free with whatever finances that you have. Okay, because water can be accessible if you get a borehole. Electricity is accessible if you put a solar system. So you won't have to pay for this thing. and they'll save you money. And the more you do that, the more you find other ventures in which you are able to, avoid buying stuff or paying for them, the more financial freedom you actually do get. So yeah, you'll be now spending money like we spoke. Like instead of spending money on everything, you're just spending money on communication, on transportation, and maybe clothes and going to visit friends and whatnot. So we as the youth should also strive to attain such a position, because money is not necessarily supposed to be what we live for. Money is supposed to be that thing that helps us to go to a certain position. It's like the example I gave you to say, uh, money is like the umbilical cord that keeps us tied to the system. So when you cut off the umbilical cord, that is now when you deliver the baby. The baby now is out of the womb and it's independent. So when we strive for that independence, that real financial independence, it's being able to not have so much money necessarily, but to be able to not spend money because you already have those things. You don't need the money. You're good. Yes. So that is the easiest way. I don't know if I've made it a little bit clear. I hope I've made it clear.
Yeah, so clear that I was drowning in my thought that I forgot my next question. But but before I remember my question, let's talk about legacy, right? I feel like a man who thinks about legacy and what he's trying to do. What would you say would be your legacy if you could write it or would give some ideas about it? What would you say?
That's a crazy question. My legacy. I would love my legacy to be in my children and their children. I want my legacy to be something that is self-sustaining. I don't really want to make it too direct, but I'm going to say that I would love my legacy to be a self-sustaining foundation that is passed on from generation. Like we're talking about money and success and everything. I would want it to be, the further you go down through my family tree, the less money they'll be using. That's what I would want it to be like. You know what I mean? I'd want the further you go down, the less, the less need for there's no this, there's no that. We need to go buy this, we need to go buy that. The less of that. I want it to be a self-sustaining legacy that does not depend on certain systems or certain ideas that are imposed on the name, on my legacy. That's what I would love. Not only for me, but I would love it for like literally the whole continent, to be honest. The whole continent. Yes, I would love it for the whole continent. A self-sustaining continent.
So I feel like that is the best way of going back to your heritage. So I found a way to defeat your, So
full circle, yeah.
So thank you for coming here. And this is now your home. You have given us so much wisdom that a lot of people don't really think about. So is there anything else you'd want to say, and where would people reach out to you?
Last thing I would like to say though is we are now in a social media era, so we need to be very careful, because internet is a new thing and social media is still new to us. We need to be very, very careful what we do. I listened to your previous episode, and sorry, I forget her name. She's quite brilliant herself. Chose Jenny.
Yeah.
She's quite brilliant. She had a question she was talking about not understanding why we always talk about bad, like the news is always talking about bad things and whatnot. Well, that is just how everything is set up. Bad news always sells. So we have to be very careful with what we feed ourselves, because the bad stuff will always be there. And right now we're going to get more bad news. So let's be very careful about that. Let's get more educated. Let's read more. Let's connect. You can catch me anywhere on Instagram, Alistair Wallace, Facebook, same. Hey, I don't know. Thank you
Alright.
for having me, man. I'm happy with what you're doing. I think it's great. We need to have more energy and more vibes like this. We need to find platforms where you know we can share ideas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. About that, I'm personally proud of you. Like I told you yesterday, you are one of the most honest people that I know. So keep it up, man. Keep
Thank
it
you,
up.
thank you. So yeah, guys, you heard it first. Reading is cool and it doesn't suck. Because you can actually make that money that you want. And if you have somebody that you want to bring here or you yourself, just come by. So thank you and have a good day.